Hello everyone, today I'm here with a tier list for Saint Seiya Shining Soldiers. I do want to note that this tier list is just my opinion and I don't own some of these characters as well, so I placed them in the tier list based on their details and facing them in PvP. Now without further ado, let's go ahead with the tier list. Starting from the bottom of the tier list, I would like to tell you that Thor is the worst character in the game. He is really not worth investing. Just look at his details and you'll be just as disappointed as I am. So for tier C, I do want to note that all of the normal summonable bronze saints are in this tier other than the ones that I will show above in tier B. These guys are in this tier C because they are only useful because of their passive effects and their team effects, and other than that they're not really used for any special battle. However, I do find them more useful than Thor. So yeah, moving on to tier B. So for tier B, I do want to note that the characters in this tier, they all have useful abilities. However, I just think that there are better characters than what they can do. So starting from Shura. Shura is a white affinity blocker. It's exactly what it sounds like. He's just a blocker. Other than that, he's not there for damage or anything else. Krishna is also a pretty solid unit. He does have a good team effect, raises main warriors physical attack by 29% starting on turn 3. Blue Iki does have a similar team effect as Krishna, but I do find him more useful because of his solid special attack. Green Hyoga, he's also a solid special attacker. He also has a pretty decent amount of health, and his team effect raises special attack by a certain amount, not as a percentage amount. For Ayakashi Inspector, he has a blue affinity attack. He does have a decent health, however his low speed does put him down into tier B. And New Cloth Iki, he's a pretty solid-ish unit, I guess. His Charge C skill does provide that guaranteed burn effects, but I do think that solid damage is better than whatever the percentage of the burn effect is. And his passive skills are great as well. He debuffs enemies' physical attack or special attack or both, but you do need all of his passive skills, so you do need dupes, which is why I put him in tier B. Other than that, nothing too crazy about this character. Black Affinity Gemini, he is a decent character. He reduces enemies' special defense. Other than that, yeah, again, nothing too special. Milo, he's decent as well. He does have a speed 9 attack, which is pretty good for PvP, but then again, there are better units. Moving on to tier A. So for tier A, at the bottom we have Taurus. He is a physical defense tank. His team effect raises Gold Saint allies physical defense by 35%, which is always useful. Doko is also a tank. His team effect raises all Gold Saint spirit defense by 39%, which is always useful. Now we have New Class Shun. He is a top tier spirit attack booster, which is always useful. And that's only that support ability is the useful thing about Shun, and that support ability is good enough for him to be in tier A. Now we have Red Affinity Death Mask. I do believe this unit is underrated. He does have that speed 9, which makes him very solid. His spirit attack, not so bad. His solid team effect does reduces enemies evasion rate by 10%, and that's when he is in level 1, so you can further increase it if you do happen to pull him. Camus is a freezer, which is unique in this game. He does have decent health. Black Hyoga, in my opinion, is a better freezer than Camus, but if you do end up putting these units together, they will make a very strong freeze team. Moving on, we have Shura. I do believe this character is overrated. He does have high damage on both stats, spirit and physical. And for his charge skills, he does have type physical and type spirit, which makes him very useful in story mode when you're completing trials. But other than that, his low speed and health does bring him down to tier A. Aphrodite, I do believe this unit is the second best green affinity character in the game. He does have the same team effect as Death Mask, and he does have pretty decent speed, which is 8. Moving up, we have White Affinity Saya. I do believe this character is better than Shura. He has speed. His max speed is 8. He does have a higher physical attack stat than Shura, and he is a white affinity character, which makes him always useful in most of the cases. Bayan, I do believe this character is a great spirit attacker. I was kind of hesitant to put him in tier A, however I thought it was a good idea because of his lowish attack, and he also has a great affinity attack, which makes him very unique. However, that attack is also his best move and also his slowest move, which is a little bit unfortunate in that part. However, his passive skill is also great. When he is switched in, he removes 5 buffs from the enemy, which is very useful in PvP. And yeah, that is tier A. So for tier S, we have Black Affinity Death Mask. He is tanky, he does have a large amount of health pool, so he does have a large amount of survivability. He doesn't have a crazy amount of damage output. However, I do think if you do build some spirit attack buffing into this character, he'll be a pretty solid unit. Moving on, we have Kanon. He is the only effective blue affinity physical attacker. He does have a pretty high physical attack stat. His passive ability, I think, is very useful. Not only the fact that his passive ability is reducing enemies' defense, but the fact that how long that thing lasts. It lasts for 7 turns, which is insane, in my opinion. And he also has a different affinity attack, which is always useful in battle. The only downside to this character is that he doesn't have speed 8 or higher. Moving on. We have Red Gemini and Red Mantis. Both of these characters are nukers. They're both of their passive skills raise their own attacks, and they have a pretty decent speed of 8, which helps them clear through content very, very easily in story mode. In PvP, they are very useful for basically nuking your enemies. Moving on, we have Iolos. I believe Iolos is the best green affinity attacker. He does have pretty good speed. Not pretty good. He has the best speed. Good speed 9. He has solid stats. He has a great passive ability that raises all allies' physical attack by 20%, and he also has a passive ability that raises Iolia's physical attack by 33%. Now Iolia, he does have the same speed as Iolos as well. He has a speed 9. He does have a large amount of health pool. He has affinity boost skill, which is always useful, and he is also a pretty decent attacker. He does have pretty balanced stats, and with Iolos he'll do even more damage output. Sagittarius Saya, in my opinion, he is the best attack buffer in the game. He raises any kind of attack stats, whether or not if they are spirit attack or physical attack. He does have a pretty nice amount of speed 9 actually, which is the best speed, and he does have a nice amount of health pool, and he also has a green affinity attack, which gives him more variety during battle. Now at the very top of the S tier, we have Saga. He is a blocker, however he does debuff enemies attack stats, kind of similar to Iki, but I do think his character is much better because he himself physically can activate this debuff by using his charge A or charge B, and he also has a green affinity attack, which is his fastest move, speed 8, which always comes in handy. So yeah, this character is a very solid unit. I do believe he is in the top for S tier. Now moving on, we'll go to God tier. So at the top of the tier list, we have God tier. So as you can see, we have 2 units, Mu and Saga. I know I underrated Saga in my previous video, and I apologize for that. But before we get into Saga, I will get into Mu. So Mu, you guys probably already know why Mu is so good. He has 1 attack charge skill, which is his first one, and its speed is 9, and it has a charge power of 34 at max level, and What's so nice about this skill is that it's a speed 9 skill, and also at the same time it's a white affinity attack, which means he'll either only do normal damage or effective damage, and his passive skills are very good as well. When he is switched in, he raises his own, the entire allies affinity, and his first one raises main warrior's spirit attack by a certain amount on turn 2. So, and he also has a pretty decent evade rate, he has a pretty decent health pool and all that, so he's pretty good. He's very good in PvP right now. Now I'll talk about Saga. Saga is basically a blue version of Mu. He has very similar stats to Mu. The only difference really is that Saga has a passive skill which raises his own physical defense, and he also has a passive skill which raises everyone's crit rates. So these two are both very good. However, Saga also has a speed 9 attack, which is a white affinity, and the same power as Mu's. Mu's like only attack skill. So that's why I'm basically saying they're both the same. However, Saga does have 2 other charge skills, which are both attacks, and Saga's charge C skill does raise his affinity, which comes in handy. So I wouldn't say that these two are in order, but they are, in my opinion, they are both very equal. They're both very good. So yeah, that is my tier list. Hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you do like it, please leave that thumbs up and subscribe, and bye bye.